Hello, this is Andrew with Missing Remote, and this is a Blackvue DR900S-2CH Dashcam. The 2CH means that there are two cameras in this box, or at least there should be, a front camera and rear camera. The front camera is a 4K or UHD Dashcam, and the rear camera is 1080p. This has dual channel Wi-Fi, so both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi is supported, and then also, and this is an important thing, is that it supports HEVC recording. So you get a much more compact file. So you can either use a smaller SD card or get away with using a smaller SD card. This one comes with 64 gigabytes. Or you can store the files for longer. Like most dash cams, this one supports a rolling file format, so that you get a file that records for some amount of time, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that, and then it just keeps going, and then when it runs out of space on the SD card, it starts overwriting the older files. So you'll have a longer period of time stored on the SD card before you start overwriting them using a file format or a video codec like HEVC versus H.264. Now this does support H.264, so if you really want to use it for some reason or another, one reason why you might is if some software that you use doesn't support HEVC, or you have to pay extra to use HEVC recordings, then that would make sense. Or if you have older viewing hardware, that kind of thing, that doesn't really support HEVC, that would be a good reason to use H.264. But let's get it open, let's have a look at it, and then let's have a play. So this is the front dash cam, or at least I'm assuming it is because it's bigger than this one, which is likely to be the rear one. Interesting, they both come with protective covers over the lenses. Let's get these out and get the handy calipers out here and see how long they are. Oops. This is 117.2 millimeters. And 36.1 wide. And then the rear one, which I can't seem to get out without taking the lens off, is 67.4 in length and 25.1 in width. So I'm going to assume that if by pushing this button, twist off the mount, and here's where we can connect in the rear camera. This is where DC power happens. This is a button to enable the Wi-Fi. Let's focus a little bit on there. The Wi-Fi, and to format the card. I expected to see the Wi-Fi or the SD card slot in here somewhere, but I don't. So I'll have to look around for that. And then the rear camera doesn't look like it comes apart, but here's the place where the wire goes in. So let's find the wires. I like this packaging. It's nice. It's a user manual or a quick start guide. This is the accessory box, and this must be where the wires are because it's heavy. So we have a 12-volt socket power cord with a sideways barrel. This might be inconvenient. The straight up and down barrels tend to route a lot easier through the inside of a car. But if you're going to be cutting this wire to hardwired into the fuse box, you could just cut it there and then pull this way instead of pulling with the barrel. So that is something to be noted. And also, because this is 12 volt, you don't have to worry about pulling a DC step down or something like that through the car. This is the rear, and this also, let's get this out. It looks like it has a side barrel, probably to connect up into the front camera. Yeah, so a side barrel and then a straight through barrel. So this will be a lot easier to pull through the car if you need to than this would be because, you know, of its orientation. This actually looks like the kind of tool that you use to pull wires through, or you use it to pry open the panels or push the panels open just enough so you can route the wires, which is handy if you don't have one of these already. And then some sticky mounts, and this is a reader. Looks like an SD reader, which is pretty cool. And then this is our 64 gigabyte SD card. So we need to find out where to put the SD card. I should have tried that the first time. This rotates off and the SD card goes in there. So let's get that sorted. So that's installed. Now it's time to take this to the car. So one interesting thing that I noticed before heading out is that the rear camera actually operates at 5 volts DC. I don't know if you can see that right there. But the front camera operates at, where'd that go? 12 to 24 volts, 1 amp. So while this runs 12 volt, and this is totally geeky, it doesn't really matter, this will power the rear camera at 5 volts. But again, not that that really matters. The important part is that this is 12 volt, that you don't have a converter here to worry about how you pull it through the car, through the paneling or in the back of the dash or whatever. Running 12 volt, this supporting 12 volt, or whatever the native car, which is the native car's voltage, makes it easier to pull the wire. So I always start with the front camera and just make sure that the video that you're getting off of it, that you can aim it right. In this case, I had to flip the orientation of the video to put it in the place where I wanted it to be. It's pretty simple to do that using the Blackvue Wi-Fi connected mobile application, because this has its own Wi-Fi built in. So that's really straightforward. Then you just kind of aim it, make sure you get in the right place, and then just pull the wires from there. So the installation is done. It took about an hour, and the hardest part in this case, because this is an SUV, is to get it up into the on the back glass here into the lift gate, and that's because you have to figure out how to get it through something like this. In this case, this plastic bit pops off. A lot of times there's a protective plastic tube of some kind that you have to figure out how to get into and then up over. So that's where the complexity comes. But yeah, it was pretty easy. A lot of that was because it was made easy because this is pretty thin wire, and this is a pointy or not elbowed connector. Although now that it's up, it would be a little bit more cosmetically appealing if it was elbowed, because then it could just turn here and then I'd go straight into there instead of having such a big loop of wire. But, you know, that's a trade-off I'm happy to live with for the ability to install it pretty easily. So I mentioned that you need to use the app to aim the cameras and potentially change the orientation. It's a quick view of how you would do that while you're doing the installation. To connect to the camera, you need to enable the access point that's on it. There's a button on the side that you push. Then you just connect to it with your phone. You probably want to have the app installed before you do that, though. And then, you know, just kind of walk through it. The app is also how you change a bunch of the settings, whether that's the codec for the video or how long you want the file size to be. Although one thing to note that in the extreme configuration for this camera, you can't control how big the video files are. They're 1 minute by default, and that's it. If you change the resolution, you can then change that the size of the files. I don't know why, or the duration of the files. I don't know why they limited it to that, but they did. And it doesn't really make a difference either way. This is also where you would set up the clock. And because this camera has a GPS in it, you don't actually have to do any of the work to make that happen, except you do need to set the time zone and the rules around daylight savings time, which is kind of odd because it knows where you are, and it should therefore know what DST rules apply to you, or at least in a general sense. Of the two of those, I can certainly see why DST maybe would be a little bit trickier to build a database to handle, but it should certainly be able to choose the time zone. So that's a little bit wonky, but it is what it is. You can also enable the cloud service here, although I did run into a problem when I was trying to test that out, where I would have it connect to my access point at home, but then when I would leave home, it would disconnect from the access point because it couldn't connect to it anymore, which makes sense. But then it would turn on the Wi-Fi access point on the camera itself, which would then make my phone automatically connect to it. And so then it would lose connectivity to the greater internet through its LTE connection. So I ended up disabling the cloud feature and not really testing it because that was super annoying. Hopefully, this is one of those things that Blackvue can address, and it won't work that way anymore. This is also the place where you can view files directly from the SD card that's in the camera, or you can download them. And downloading them, while still not awesome if it's a lot of them, because you are working off the device's Wi-Fi connection, is a lot faster here with the DR900S because it has 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, or at least I assume because it has 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, versus some of the other cameras that Blackvue has, which only have 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So it's not quite as onerous, but it still takes a while. So if you have a lot of files, it's easier, and I use that term loosely, to take everything apart and pull out the SD card, bring it into wherever your laptop is, and take the files off that way. This is one area where I wish that Blackvue, the cameras were a little bit more user-friendly. I don't know why you have to take the camera apart, or uninstall the camera from the car essentially to get to the SD card. It would be so much easier if you just pop the thing out, like you can in quite a few other dash cams. Not that you really do it that frequently. Generally, within a little bit of a window where something happened, or at least I would know where something happened. So you can kind of narrow it down and only get 5 minutes of time or whatever, and it doesn't really take that long then. But I would like to see that be a little bit different.
This is a sample of speech recording or sound recording in the car. It's my understanding that it's not legal to use this feature in Illinois, so I'm going to disable it shortly. Well, it's not legal to use this feature without disclosing to everyone in the car that you're recording audio, and since that is kind of silly, I'm just going to disable the feature.
So next, let's compare the camera that was in the car, which is 1080p in the top left, versus the DR900S, which is 4K, kind of underneath it. There's a couple things to take away from this. One is the difference between 4K and 1080p, and it's literally 4 times the resolution. So you get a lot more detail in the road furniture, in the cars, and everything. The second thing, and this really surprised me, is how much more natural and realistic the quality is for the DR900S versus this other sensor. And you can see it most clearly when you look at the green light here. It's green in the DR900S, and it's kind of yellowish with the other one. But it's, if you look at the other things, it's that way as well. And I specifically chose this set of samples because this is a very challenging time of day. It's right around dusk, I think 5 p.m. or so. So very impressive. Taking some other extreme examples, here we have direct sunlight in the second highest recording situation. They all kind of look the same, but here we can see how well we can resolve license plates even in very, very bright sunlight. Now let's take a look at night. which is a little bit different here because we have versus in the highest setting in HDR versus non-HDR. We're looking at HDR first here. We can't actually make out the license plate of the car in front of us because it gets blown out. And now flipping to the non-HDR, in a very similar situation, we are able to resolve the license plate, which indicates that we actually see better results at night with HDR turned off, which is a bit surprising. If you've made it this far, thanks. I know this is getting on around 15 minutes, so we're going to try to compress as much as we can in the next bit here and get it out in the most economical way. But before we do that, let's say thanks to Blackvue for providing the review sample. Thank you, Blackvue. This review would not have been possible without that. So, bitrate is king. That should be obvious. The difference is greater at night than it is during the day, which, also makes sense. So I would say run it at the highest bitrate and don't change it, because why not? The most surprising thing here was that HDR actually is detrimental at night. I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to be advantageous at night. Now, regardless of, bitrate or codec or HDR versus non-HDR, the quality of the samples that were captured by the DR900S, and this probably comes down to the sensor and some of their software and stuff, is so much better than what I was seeing with my other Dashcam. And now, admittedly, that Dashcam is a couple of years old and it's 1080p, but still, just so much better. And I guess that kind of gets down to the price discussion where, this is admittedly an expensive camera. It's about $500, which is more money than I paid for the other camera a couple of years ago. But I'm going to run out and grab one of these because it is totally worth it. Now, admittedly, $500 might be outside of your price range or what you can afford, and Blackvue has some other cameras which are significantly less expensive. I reviewed a 1080p version of a camera which has many of the same features that this one does, and that one is very, very nice as well. So if that's within your budget, then I would say go for that one instead. Now, to quickly recap, installation is easy. I loved it. It's great that they include the tool. The tool does not come with the trim tool does not come with some of the lower end cameras, but it's not totally essential. If you have grippy fingers or a screwdriver or little wedges of plastic, you can make do. The cloud Wi-Fi thing is kind of wonky, and I hope that they fix that because right now it's not usable for me. And also, I wish that it was easier to get the SD card out. But again, all of these things, those two things are just kind of niggles. The quality of the camera is outstanding, and I would recommend it over any other camera that I have played with. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please whack that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments or anything, just hit them in the comment section below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Thanks.